Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. There we go. And we're continuing our survey of Schubert. And this particular clump, wait a minute, here it is, consists mostly or almost entirely of symphonies. Yeah, symphonies and a little bit of chamber music, but an important little bit because it's the complete string quartets with the Aaron Quartet on CPO. A phenomenal series, beautifully played, wonderfully recorded at 2 volumes, 3 CDs for the price of 2. I don't know if they're still available. I don't know if that price point is still valid because I got these a zillion years ago. I mean, they were recorded in 1995. And I guess, when did I get them? Well, shortly after that, probably. 1997 is when this thing came out. And they're terrific. They're really such a wonderful quartet. You may know them from their complete Haydn quartet cycle, which is the best one of those, on Tatchett Records, and their Beethoven series, which is equally fine. They are a tremendous group. So there we have it. And now some great Schubert symphonies for the rest of this chat. We have Symphony number 9, The Great, with Günter Wand and NDR. This is one of the best. Absolutely phenomenal, astounding performance. This one was recorded, you have to sort of know, because he did all this stuff 400 times. It was live in 1992. I mean, whether that means anything, I don't know. Do they give you a recording date for the actual concert? I mean, I'm sure they must. They have to. Well, they don't have to, but they should. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Yes, it was recorded on April 21st through 23rd, 1991. And boy, is this great. Now, of course, Wand did this symphony. He did it in Cologne. He did it with the Berlin Phil. And he did it with NDR. But his NDR one is the best. Really pretty substantially the best, I think. So that's great to have. And now we have, oh, look, Günter Wand doing Schubert's 9 and the 8th with the Berlin Phil. Now, I've talked about this phenomenon before. The phenomenon is that of hearing what you want to hear because you think you ought to hear it. When he did these with the Berlin Phil, it was a big deal because here he was finally in front of a Berlin Phil, you know, the greatest living exponent of the German tradition. And you know, or Bruckner, why am I saying this Bruckner coming from? And Günter Wand said, because he always did Bruckner, it's just, you know. But he said, I am a very old conductor of the new school, meaning the Toscanini school. But it doesn't matter. He was great. He was absolutely great. And these are beautiful performances with the Berlin Phil. But when they came out, everybody raved. It was the Berlin Phil. Ah, the Berlin Phil. Oh, the Berlin Phil. But they were not as good as NDR. And you can hear it for yourself. I mean, it's really pretty obvious, I think. NDR has more transparency, more lively wind section, more brass and timpani punctuating the texture, more forceful accents, just more energy generally. These are very pretty. I mean, really, really pretty, but I don't think that they're as interesting as those. So there you have it. Now, what else have we got? Oh, Schubert Symphonies 8 and 9 with Eugen Joachim. Bavarian Radio in 9 and the Boston Symphony in the 8th. And this Boston Symphony 8th is, it's my however pick for Schubert's Unfinished. It's just the most beautiful performance you've ever heard in your life. It's absolutely gorgeous. With the exposition repeat in the first movement. Yay. And wow. It was originally coupled to Mozart's Jupiter Symphony. Another absolutely gorgeous performance. But boy, the Schubert is something else. Then we've got Schubert Symphonies 3 along with the Schumann Rhenish with Günter Wand and NDR. The Rhenish is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The Schubert's a pretty symphony. And, you know, Wand does it well. He did all of them, you know, in Cologne. So it's quite good too. But boy, the Schumann is terrific. I probably should have filed this under Schumann, except that I think we have one under Schumann. You can tell me. I think we sort of talked about that at one point. I have it. And then it's also in the Wand box now. And then we have boxes, you know. Up, Schubert Unfinished and the Mendelssohn Italian Symphony with the Philharmonia and Sinopoli from 1984. Now, these were among the first recordings that Sinopoli made for Deutsche Grammophon. And they were, I mean, his notes were nuts. He talked about Schubert being like, you know, unwashed and repulsive. And he had this, you know, he was a psychology, neurology, he had 6 PhDs, and he was really It spent way too much time inside his own head, actually. But these are terrific performances and beautifully recorded. I mean, Sinopoli got rich, gorgeous recorded sound most of the time. Sometimes it went like weird things in the other direction of sort of saturated decadence, but here, the pieces are not saturatedly decadent, and he conducts very, very well, and the playing is terrific, and the sound is marvelous, and they were like wake-up calls for like an important new talent who I believe never quite lived up to the promise that of these initial recordings, but he did some tremendous stuff. He really did. And then we've got Schubert. Oh yes, Schubert, unfinished with the tragic, with the Bavarian Radio Symphony and Carlo Maria Giulini. I mean, Giulini, remember, he did a bunch of things with the Bavarian Radio, including he did Schubert, and he did, we may have some more Schubert, well, I don't know. But in addition to Schubert, he did like the Bach B minor Mass, I think, and some other stuff like that. And it was all late Giulini, slow, heavy, very, very beautifully played. I mean, really beautiful. This isn't terribly slow. It's not ridiculous. It's not like, Celibidache slow, but it's deliberate. And there are works that Giulini recorded multiple times. He did some of this in Chicago for Deutsche Grammophon, let's not forget, extremely well. But they're beautiful performances, and they were made in the days when labels were just throwing money at people to do the things that they'd done before 150 other times. So we collect it and we hang on to it. And now we have the two reference recordings for the Schubert Ninth. Charles Munch and George Sell, both coupled to excellent performances of the unfinished as well. And here they are. I mean, I made sure when these came out on CD that I had extras. You had to have extras because these are such fabulous performances. Now they're in the big boxes devoted to Munch and Sell, respectively. But hey, you can't have enough Sell and Munch Schubert Ninths. You just can't. Boy, are they smoking hot performances. And very different. Very, very different in terms of their emphases. And that's what's so wonderful about them. And then we've got this lovely disc of the Schubert Ninth and the Overture in C in the Italian style, D9, 591 with Blomstedt and San Francisco. Blomstedt always did great Schubert. He did a beautiful symphony cycle with the Staatskapelle Dresden that I have upstairs at least, and maybe down here too. We'll see. This was, I think his Staatskapelle Dresden Schubert Ninth was better than the San Francisco one, quite frankly, but this is still very, very good. I mean, it was his meat and potatoes. He was a lot like Günter Wand, actually, a conductor of great humility and somewhat self-effacing, but incredibly musical. And so his performances hold up really well on repeated listening. They're exciting, they're fresh, they're natural sounding, really, really good stuff. And of course, is also in the Blomstedt box. I think both of them, so who knows. And then we've got the unfinished and Schumann 4 with Günter Wand again. Boy, the Schumann 4 is terrific. The unfinished is terrific. I mean, they're lovely performances with NDR, and they're recorded live as usual, and very, very good sound. So there you have it. That's like quite an impressive pile of Schubert symphonies, if I do say so myself. There's good reason to keep them either upstairs or downstairs, but to keep them at all costs. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. There's so much more Schubert to come. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.